Here we go, part 5. Wow, part 5. I didn't think I would make it this many parts. So, 2004, The Undertaker has a rivalry with Booker T. This was an interesting one because more mind games, and Booker T, you know, that guy is pretty entertaining, and he could really like play the cowardly bad guy. And he went to like some voodoo shop in New Orleans trying to get some sort of voodoo magic to help him against The Undertaker's mind games. Cool matches. I did like it probably with Booker T. But then after that, he challenges for the WWE Championship against JBL. You know, I liked having Eddie Guerrero as the WWE Champion. I didn't think JBL should have been champion, but The Undertaker helped him out. You know, their first match ended. I think it was a disqualification, or was some sort of no contest, or no child changing hand, and The Undertaker choke slamming JBL through the roof of the limousine, and then that sets up the last ride match, which you put your opponent in a hearse and then you drive away. The Undertaker, he beats up JBL. Looks like he's about to throw him into the back of the hearse, and then Heidenreich, to try to push this guy Heidenreich in. He jumps The Undertaker, chloroforms him, throws him in the back of the hearse, and they drive off. And then that sets up the match Heidenreich and The Undertaker. Undertaker wins it. He tries it again in a fatal 4-way. Booker T, Eddie Guerrero, and The Undertaker all challenge JBL. And just when he was about to tombstone JBL, Heidenreich again costs him the match. Attacks and costs him the match. JBL is able to retain the championship. And that match sets up their match at the Royal Rumble 2005, the casket match. Snitsky tries to interfere in the match, but then Kane comes. He has a problem with Snitsky as well. They brawl in the arena, leaving The Undertaker and Heidenreich to finish the match. Undertaker tombstones him, puts him in that casket, closes it, and the story. That rivalry was meh, I guess. But there was a pretty cool moments, like when he grabs his manager, Paul Heyman, and talks to him about how, I'm going to show you what happens to those souls who think they can look in the eye of the dragon. He really is pretty poetic in his mind games. It's pretty cool. And then 2005 was all about his rivalry with Randy Orton. And man, that rivalry was a good rivalry, to be honest, because it was all about Orton being the legend killer. That was his whole deal from 2003, I believe, to 2005. He was the legend killer, and it was really cool to see him facing these legends and beating them. But the one legend he had to beat, the one that would really cement him as the true legend killer, defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak became important because of this match. It was 12-0. This is the first time they did the countdown from 12. I remember it was one of the promos. Randy Orton was in the ring, and then the stream just goes off, and then he started rewinding from Kane all the way down to Jimmy Snuka, and at the end it was 0, and went to Orton, and it was really cool to see how it was going to be built up, and not to mention it showed the importance of the streak, because now it was something that people wanted to beat. They had to. It was an obsession for some, and I'll get to that obsession later. The match was really cool. I mean, Cowboy Bob Orton, tries to help Randy out. The counter from the chokeslam into the RKO, great counter. But of course, The Undertaker prevails when Randy Orton tries to give The Undertaker his own tombstone, reverses it, boom, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. Then I think Randy Orton cost the Undertaker a chance to be the number one contender. Boom, Rob sets up for the match at SummerSlam. What happens at SummerSlam? Cowboy Bob Orton interferes in the match, costing the Undertaker the match. Randy Orton wins. It's one apiece. And the Undertaker is kind of mocked by Randy Orton and his father as the Undertaker Retirement Fund. It showed Randy Orton being kind of a little goofy, but in a cool way. And it was really cool to see they had a match on SmackDown, and they're trying to play mind games with the Undertaker by having a casket with the fake Undertaker in it. And that, not only that, but afterwards they had what they thought was a fake Undertaker, and they're giving a eulogy in a sense to the Undertaker, but the Undertaker was really in the casket. He springs up, attacks Randy Orton, and that sets up their casket match at I forget what it was, No Mercy or something. The Undertaker and Cowboy Undertaker, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match. A good amount of psychological games being played by both sides, and the Undertaker loses that casket match after a chair shot to the head while he and Randy Orton were in the casket. Then Orton, reminiscent of Kane, lights the casket on fire, thinking he had rid himself of the Undertaker. Then at the Survivor Series that year, Randy Orton is the sole survivor, for SmackDown. SmackDown wins the Survivor Series match, and he's celebrating. And then the gong goes off, the music, like church kind of music, comes up, and the casket is wheeled out there. Lightning bolt hits it, it's on fire. Boom! The Undertaker pops out of the casket, and Randy Orton shows a really good facial expression. When he was younger, he definitely was allowed to show more facial expressions of being shocked and scared, not having to be like stoic and tough, but be intimidated. And that was really cool to see. And after that whole incident, Survivor Series, the Undertaker, cleaning house, sending Orton, running away. It sets up their Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. It was a cool match. Cowboy Bob Orton again tries to interfere with the urn. Undertaker hits both of them with the urn, tombstones Randy Orton, and wins the match, ending the rivalry between the two of them. Really cool match. It's a really good Hell in a Cell match. Not as good as his match against Shawn Michaels the year before, but definitely a really good ending to a rivalry. And that's what I think Hell in a Cell should be, to cap off the ending of a rivalry. Royal Rumble that year, Royal Rumble 2006. Sorry. After Angle retains the championship against Mark Henry, in my opinion, Henry should have won the match. But Undertaker proclaims he wants the next title shot. And No Way Out that year, Undertaker loses because he puts Kurt Angle in a triangle choke, and Kurt Angle flips over, pins him while passing out. And so the next SmackDown, they have a rematch. Undertaker tombstones Kurt Angle, just about to win. Mark Henry shows up, costing the match, and challenging the Undertaker at WrestleMania. He wants to be the guy who ends the streak. They have a casket match at WrestleMania. Good match, a little slow at times, especially Mark Henry is not a high flyer, not a fast guy, but it definitely shows Mark Henry's ability as a monster. Afterwards, Mark Henry has another match with the Undertaker, and the Great Khali makes his debut. Now, 2006. All right, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. After Eddie Guerrero's death, and after WrestleMania 22, I didn't watch too much of WWE in 2006. In 2005, I did not watch Raw all that much, only because I did not have cable. And I didn't watch SmackDown for a while because I was too busy to watch it. I had school, so I couldn't watch it. So what I do remember is rivalry with Great Khali was not that good. From what I do remember, the little I do remember of it is the Punjabi prison match. I watched it years later. Didn't seem all that good. And their only good match that they had was the Last Man Standing match on SmackDown, which showed the resiliency of The Undertaker, never say die attitude, and showed Great Khali as a beast who, unfortunately, once his ride with The Undertaker was over, there wasn't much to do with him. I think they put him at the top too soon, especially since the guy couldn't really move all that well. After that, he has his rivalry with Mr. Kennedy. Never really liked Mr. Kennedy all that much. I thought he was overrated. His first blood match, MVP, cost The Undertaker the match by hitting him with the head of the steel chair. And then they have the last ride match, which is pretty good. And The Undertaker wins it, throws Kennedy in the back of the hearse, and after tombstoning him on top of the hearse, choke slamming him. Maybe it was a tombstone. Tombstoning him on top of the hearse, throws him in the back, drives away, and then that's the last we see of him. Then that's not the last we see of him. That's the end of the match. That's the end of the rivalry. Then you have Royal Rumble, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. See, I'll go into a little bit of a theory to have within the next video. But Undertaker is number 30 in that match. He wins the Royal Rumble after Shawn Michaels the last two. They go at it for like 5 or 7 minutes. And it's a really cool short match between the two of them. Back and forth until Undertaker finally eliminates Shawn Michaels and celebrates. At WrestleMania that year, WrestleMania 23, Teddy Long does the introductions, does good introductions, I think, and The Undertaker and Batista, people would think, oh, this match isn't going to be that good because they're not, as athletic as Shawn Michaels is, but they had a really good, solid match. Psychologically, it was great. Batista trying to be the one to defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It was title versus streak, and it was great to see. It was a really cool match, and The Undertaker emerges victorious, wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Michael holds a great line. It has been 10 years since we've seen this at WrestleMania, and he holds up the championship in his hand. Unfortunately, he would not have that title for too long. At Backlash that year, he and Batista have a last man standing match. The result in a draw because Batista spears the both of them off the stage, and neither one of them could get up after a count of 10. Yeah, nobody complained about it as far as I remember. Of course, if Cena does it, people bitch. But I'll leave Cena out of this as much as I can. Then he has his match against Batista at SmackDown. Steel Cage. Again, another draw. They both land outside of the cage at the same time, and The Undertaker is bloody. He's beaten, and then after the match, Mark Henry comes down, beats his ass, leaves him lying in the middle of the ring. Then Edge comes down with the Money in the Bank briefcase after he just won it from Mr. Kennedy, and he spears The Undertaker. The Undertaker is defeated, loses the championship, and we don't see The Undertaker for months on end. Fast forward to Unforgiven. Mark Henry's the big monster. He's tearing through people, and The Undertaker is about to make his return. Have you heard the one about the man who couldn't die? It was really cool, that whole build-up. Mark Henry playing the unshakable heel. He was, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be intimidated. And it was really cool to see The Undertaker's return that year in Unforgiven. His match with Mark Henry was good. Not as good as their match at WrestleMania 22. But then again, it has been a long time since I've seen that match. So I don't remember all that well. It was a good match for what I do remember. And then you have Undertaker wanting the World Heavyweight Championship back from Batista. Loses at Cyber Sunday. Straight up. No other gimmicks as special guest referee. And then afterwards, you had the match at Survivor Series, Hell in a Cell. This definitely was one of the better matches he had with Batista. It was really cool to see. Sorry. Really cool to see. And then, of course, Edge comes down and comes back. He's disguised as a cameraman, and he costs the Undertaker the World Heavyweight Championship, and Batista retains the title at Hell in a Cell. Then at the next pay-per-view, Armageddon, triple threat match with the Undertaker, Batista, and Edge with the help of his Edge heads, Hawkins and Ryder, defeats Batista in that match and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Now we go into 2008. At this point, the Undertaker's schedule starts to get a lot lighter. Enters the Royal Rumble. Number 1 this time. Who's number 2? Shawn Michaels. Another great example of how to book a Royal Rumble. Start off hot with the two of them. Especially since they just finished the previous year Royal Rumble. Had to go at it again. It was a great little taste for the fans for what was to come later on. It was really cool to see. Undertaker does not win the Royal Rumble that year, but the winner of that Royal Rumble, John Cena, challenges Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, and they have the Elimination Chamber match with the Undertaker, Batista, Finlay, MVP, Great Khali, and Big Daddy V to determine number 1 contendership match. Cool match, especially when you consider that the first 2 men who started it and it ended the match. It was one of the matches that was violent but wasn't over the top, and a great counter from the Undertaker into the Tombstone. Boom! Defeats Batista in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Then the match at WrestleMania, again making the championship and the streak equal. Even the streak being even more important. The promo before was, could it be 15-1? That was really well done. Edge was maniacal, trying to keep up with the Undertaker in mind games wise. Really cool. Their match was a great way to end WrestleMania 24, and that match was a lot of fun to watch. Not to mention you had the couple cool false endings. Undertaker tombstones Edge, and then the referee's out, so second referee, that whole runway was like a quarter mile at least. You see the referee running, and then he tries to pin, and boom, Edge kicks out. Edge spears the Undertaker, and the Undertaker, boom, gets him into the Devil's Triangle, and the Hell's Gate, the Hell's Gate. End of the pay-per-view, Undertaker with the World Heavyweight Championship. Where does he go from here? That's where I go in the part 6 of this, and hopefully I'll be able to end it then. Until then, later.